Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, people of all ages, welcome back to the Sticky Floors podcast. I am one of your hosts, CJ. I am joined by Mr. Will, and tonight we are talking about Mission Impossible Fallout,
Yes,
man. So
sir.
look, we are building towards watching the last, I guess it's the last Mission Impossible film, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. So this is a prep call or prep show for that. So we know this one has been out for a while. You've probably seen it before. You have never seen it talked about like this. We're going to get into details with this joint tonight. Mr. Will, what is up with you, man? How are you
oh,
doing?
oh, man, I'm feeling great, yo. I
Nice.
really wish the folks had privy to the up and coming Patreon page where we drop all
I
the
like the
cutting room floor
foreshadowing.
joints, yo.
I like the foreshadowing on it, man.
Oh, yo, this
Yeah.
guy's TJ is
Yeah,
hilarious.
we're having a good time talking about this, man. We'll see if those jokes make it into the actual recording. But listen, if this is your first time with Sticky Floors, we want you to subscribe. We are on Apple Podcasts, we are on Spotify Podcasts, and we're on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button and like, and then engage too as well, because we also want to just continue the conversation outside of this
Yes,
venue
please.
and these means. Yes. So with that, I'm kicking it over to Mr. Will with the synopsis of Mission Impossible Fallout.
Oh man, this is one of my favorite movies from this series, and we were debating that. And with that said, the Syndicate may be gone, but its ghost lives on in the Apostles. Armed with stolen plutonium and a fanatical new leader, they aim to reshape the world through nuclear fire. Ethan Hunt and the rest of the IMF team must outsmart enemies and outlast betrayal, all the while gaining an uneasy ally in CIA enforcer August Walker before time and the planet runs out.
There it is, man. Yo, this. So you said like from the beginning that this is like one of your most favorite of
Yeah.
the series, and I would echo that. As I said, I went back and I started like watching all of these just in preparation to get up to
Okay.
seeing the Final Reckoning, and many of them I've seen already. But going back and watching this one, I really like can see it's something to be said about a movie, a franchise delivering one of its best products at
Yeah.
such a later time in it
Oh
because
yeah.
there's some franchises where like maybe 6 movies, but really they could have stopped making them after 4.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna name no names, but it's something like that. But this one is like they're still doing well, like making this movie when Fallout comes out.
Yeah, and that's what surprises me. I would liken this to a locomotive. You know how it takes a little bit of time to like bring it up to speed and such. This movie, once it got cranking after 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yo, they knocked it out of the park for me. I really love the action. I really love the twists and turns in this.
Yeah.
I mean, it has some of the things that, like we previously mentioned behind the scenes, like, hey, I like this about this character, the growth and development. I like the casting of the leading lady, if you will, the co-star that he has chosen to ally himself with, and then the villains get better and better.
Yeah.
I mean, this knocks for me on all cylinders, man.
Yeah, and this is actually like an easy direct sequel
Yeah.
to Rogue Nation.
Oh yeah.
So even in terms of not only bringing back most of the heroes, but also bringing back the major villain, right? From
Yes.
the last one, Solomon Lane shows up. Shout out to him in this, man.
He's killing
I
him.
love this version of him, man. This dude had been through it in this
Yeah.
movie. I like that. Like and the thing about it is when Rogue Nation ends, it could be the end of the story.
Yeah.
And I like that they did not end the story and they continued it. And I think that just that vision of figuring out a way to tell more detail of a story that you thought was kind of over was really exciting for just as an audience person, as somebody watching it, to really enjoy and get into it.
And that's the thing too. Like in Rogue Nation, you get the sense that like, all right, it's reached its climax, everything is good to go. We got the bad guy. They're going to interrogate him, get him for everything he has, and then dispense justice. Ilsa managed to get her record wiped, and she's going to ride off into the BMW, into the sunset in the BMW. Ethan and the rest of the team, Luther and Benji, they're straight, and they're going to go off into the next mission. But lo and behold, Lane comes back and makes another appearance, and this time he brought some heavy metal in the form of Superman, aka Henry Cavill, aka The Witcher. Man, And he knocked it out the park too.
He really did. And you know, man, I was watching this movie, and I know, man, look, the new Superman trailer just dropped, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
shout out to the new Superman trailer. But I really think every time I see Henry Cavill, I'm
Oh
just
yeah.
always going to see Superman.
Yep.
And to see him on the screen and to see like he's just got a great presence. He's got a
Mm-hmm.
presence of a person that can do work, and
Mm-hmm.
he does work in his film. But I'm just watching like, dang, yo, that's Superman. Yo, Superman is beating this Asian dude up in his bathroom badly, man. I like it's such a it was a great cast for that. And shout outs to whoever the producers or the talent people are in this film for reaching out and saying, yo, this guy has got some untapped potential here. We put him in this movie, it's going to take it to a next level.
And that's the crazy thing about it, man. Like, who had the foresight to see, this guy who could potentially be stereotyped as a sci-fi
Yeah,
fantasy type of actor and not see him in a dramatic role. I
yeah,
mean, they're all action films, but this is a different type of action where it's a
yeah,
thriller, spy adventure.
yeah,
Not too many people would take that leap to say, hey, you know what? We can modernize him and see him as a villain, which I've heard the cliche where if you don't like the person after seeing them in a certain role, that means that actor did a great job. Where now
yeah.
he's the living embodiment of that. And I did not like him as August. I hate it.
What?
I'm sitting there like he can't be a villain. This is
Yeah,
crazy. Why would you
yeah.
do this to
He's good at it
Superman?
though. But that's why he had the mustache, man.
See,
The mustache is what he needed to have. So you don't
oh.
really see because for real, if he didn't have the mustache, I would have been like, Dad, Clark Kent is wilding in this film. I would have been thinking about that the whole time. So the fact that he was like, I think that's part of why they said like, oh, you're gonna have to grow a mustache or something, because otherwise people are gonna be just seeing the last son of Krypton trying to kill Ethan Hunt the whole movie.
See, he reminded me of Dastardly Dan. I don't know if you remember them old
Hmm.
cartoons where the guy was
Yeah,
twisting the
yeah.
mustache joint.
That's exactly, yeah.
That's why it irks me so much. Where I'm like, come on, man, they got to do better with my guy. Why has he got to turn into a villain? Why has he got to be
I
the
like it. Yeah,
traitor? And he's rubbing it in Ethan's face.
yeah,
But kudos to him for really totally embracing and being engulfed in the role. Like
yeah,
you can see he relished it.
yeah.
And he was still in shape. As far as
Hmm.
like being a very immense presence, both the physicality and his aura, if you will. Like it just seemed larger than life, whether it be in the bathroom scene that you were alluding to and discussing, him just putting the smack down on the fake Lark.
Yeah,
And shout out to the actor. I think his name is Liang
yeah. He
or
got
Yang.
busy in that. Yeah, he was beating them dudes up, man.
Yo.
That reminded me of remember in Lethal Weapon 4
Oh yeah.
when Danny Glover and Mel Gibson tried to fight Jet Li. And Jet Li was beating them down. That's what it looked like. Like it was definitely like that. They was about to say, man, we too old for this, man. Just shoot him.
Yo, that's the crazy part. This guy was like, "Oh, so both of y'all want some," and they're
Right,
washing their hands, and he knew what time, and
right,
he's punching them in their sternum. He hit
right,
Henry Cavill in the throat joint a
right,
couple of times,
right,
where you heard the gag and the
right,
gasp, like,
right,
like he caught him.
right. You know, man, just one last thing from me on Henry Cavill. You know, Henry Cavill is going to, I don't know where his career is going to go, and I hope he's successful in anything that he
He's supposed
does.
to be coming out with Voltron. That's if Amazon doesn't drop it.
Yeah, right. And I hope that that's successful. I will always feel like there was more he could have done with Superman.
Oh man, he shortchanged
And
big time.
I also feel like there was a lane for him to be James Bond.
Oh, I think it still is, and I heard
So
that he.
if there's a chance, so be it. But he can. Those are two roles that dang that dude was meant to play. And if he
Yeah,
doesn't get to him for whatever reason, so be it.
that's a
But I
corporate
could
thing.
see him doing both, either of those two, and pulling them off. Because remember, he did the joint, the Man from Uncle. You know, like where he
Yeah,
was like
he
the
killed
smooth
that. That's
secret agent role. Like
yeah.
he could do that. And whatever. We'll see how it works out. But in this joint, as August Walker, he's doing this thing, man.
Not just that, he also came out with that movie recently where he was a soldier who was arrested and he was leading a team. It's based upon a true story, actually. Leading a team behind enemy lines, utilizing guerrilla tactics, and
Okay,
they
I can
end up
see that. Yeah.
blowing something up in Africa. I don't know if it was like off of Cape Horn or South Africa, but one
Okay.
of the two. But either way, he plays like this. I think a captain or a colonel leading the team
Okay.
throughout World War II. They end up taking over. The name escapes me. Obviously, I'll remember it later on when you're talking. But I say that to say it's a similar role where he's charismatic, where he
Mhm.
can get down and dirty, where he utilizes his physicality but his intelligence too. He's witty. He demands, his stage presence demands your attention throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I see that, man. And so, like, this movie Fallout, as we said, it's a continuation of Rogue Nation. And it's sort of, and it ends with like the idea of, so it's still really the action gets going around this plutonium.
Yeah.
So the plutonium, and then we find out that the syndicate has now, as you said in the opening, have now become the apostles, right?
Yes.
And they're still like out there trying to create as much mayhem as
Chaos.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, what is it? The greater the suffering,
The peace.
the greater the peace, right? And that's the agenda that they're pushing in it. And right away, kind of like the IMF gets involved in it, and then you have the CIA, which I like how they built up the CIA from the last one, from Rogue
Yeah.
Nation, as a sort of a frenemy of the IMF, like kind of like you, but not really, really
Yeah.
kind of thing. So I like how they continued that storyline. But one of the main things about this film, which is I think one of the seminal parts of the Ethan Hunt character, is this idea that he will always try to save
Yes.
one person, if because he believes he can save the one person and then save the world at the same
Hmm.
time. And in this movie, he does it in the scene where the plutonium is on the line. He decides to save Ving Rhames' character instead of like just getting the plutonium.
And that's the thing too. I know I've raised this question a lot, but it is about loyalty. It's about
Yeah.
commitment and trust.
Mhm.
And they're more than just a team. They're more than just partners in the field.
Yeah.
These individuals are now a family. They're all that
Yeah.
they have because the life that they left behind no longer exists for them.
Yeah.
And I think, it's that paternal instinct that Ethan has for the team, where he tells them, look, your life will mean more to me than my own life. And you
Yeah.
can see that he lives by those words. It's not just a mantra or something that he just says, some empty rhetoric. No, he stands behind that.
Yeah, and Ving Rhames' character in this movie, and it just drew a blank on it, what the character's name is in the film, but
Luther.
um,
Luther's
Luther, yeah, Luther. Luther is really important to the Ethan Hunt character because Luther's the one that you buy him when he says like, I'm your friend,"
yeah.
and when he tells Ilsa like, "Hey, there's two women that Ethan really cared about, right?
Yeah.
You and obviously his wife." And you buy him telling her that story.
Yeah.
So, like you said, like that character is important because, and it'll be interesting to see like how this all lands with the end of these films. But even through all these movies, they haven't really done a lot with telling you like how Ethan Hunt got to be Ethan Hunt. Like, what are those circumstances? But you buy the way that the people feel about him and how that informs you as the audience about who he is as a character.
It's funny you say that too, because in Dead Reckoning, they give glimpses of his
Yeah,
life
they do. They
before the
start too.
IMF.
Yeah. Hmm.
And if you juxtapose that with the first one, you see a very young,
Hmm.
impressionable, by the book, no nonsense, because he's fully bought in and he was looking for a mentor or some type of role model, father figure to live up to. And he has that in John Voight's character.
Yeah.
And now when you're flash forwarding like throughout all the films, you see him replicating that because those were the lessons he learned and he's trying to follow in those same footsteps. Simultaneously, you tend to notice like he cares about the women and there could be some type of romantic relationship developing there, but he closes the door so abruptly where he tries to distance himself because he's protecting them. It's
Yeah.
not so much about protecting himself because he's closed off, but it's more like he's saying to them like, look, I want you to be the best version and I can only do so much and I can't lead you to that next step. I can only get you to where you're supposed to be and then the rest is on you.
Yeah. And I think that's a strong and the movie sort of helps to position that by the dreams that he's having about his
Yeah.
ex.
Yeah.
So you see, like, there's still the guilt about, what happened with that situation. I put her in jeopardy.
Mhm.
Philip Seymour Hoffman tried to kill her, like he remembers like all of
Yeah.
that stuff that happened.
Great
So
actor
it
too,
makes
Renner.
sense that he would have like, that kind of distance. And I get the distance that he has between him and Ilsa. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, you're right. It is something that they foreshadow very well in the movie.
Yeah.
And I have to just take a step back and say this. These movies, especially like the Rogue Nation and Fallout, they are very well done in
Yeah.
terms of
Yeah.
the story structure, like how you get to where you get to, it makes sense. And me,
Yeah.
I'm big on like how you end it has to matter. I like how they get to where they get to at the end. And the way the movie is written, the foreshadowing of it, him having the nightmares that not only have his ex-wife, but also Solomon Lane in it, really plays out well when you see kind of where it ends up, obviously in the mountains with the plutonium.
And it doesn't feel like coincidence either. Like you
Right.
could see that these guys are playing multi-dimensional chess where they're like, they have contingency plans built upon contingency plans. Their
Yeah.
foresight into knowing him because they've been in a similar position. Lane was in MI6. Walker
Yeah.
is CIA, so they do have some type of dossier or understanding as far as who and what Ethan represents and who he
Yeah.
is. And I think the thing too that's really skillful is that it reminded me somewhat of too, in which while Ethan is trying to break in because he doesn't want to expend that energy
Yeah.
on hand-to-hand combat,
Yeah.
underneath it all, the rest of them dudes are up there doing their own thing, trying to sneak into the same building to get the same chimera virus. So it's like very telling of like these guys know who Ethan is. He's
Yeah, they
telling you
do.
to play like, yo, I'm running over the one. I'm
Yeah.
running through the one gap. You know the play. You got to stop me now. And they all failed to stop this guy.
Yeah. And I think like it's summarized in that statement that Angela Bassett makes as what's her
Oh,
name? Erica Sloan. Is that her
yeah,
character?
Erica Sloan. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's the
She
new
says,
director of the CIA.
you prefer a
A
scalpel
scalpel.
as I use a
Damn.
hammer. And then she looks at it, he looks at it, he's like, yeah, I'm the hammer.
Yeah.
Like but it's like it's a good stylistic juxtaposition that they have there.
Yeah, and the thing too is with Angela Bassett, and shout out to her. I hated director Sloan throughout this movie. I'm sitting there like, yo, you're impeding what they're trying to do. They're trying to
Yeah.
save the world, and you want to have a pissing contest. Like,
Yeah.
all right,
With Alec
lady.
Baldwin. Yeah.
Yeah, and shout
Yeah.
out to him too, man, because he was in that one point, the the enemy, frenemy, the
Hmm.
opposition to what Ethan was trying to accomplish, and it just so irks me to like the very last fiber where he doesn't have somebody who's just with him from the inception, even when Lawrence Fishburne was his commanding officer or whatever have you. He was a jerk. I'm just
Yeah.
like, yo, cut this dude slack.
Yeah. You know what though, man? I think that there's something about there's the IMF, there's the IMF agenda, and then there's the Ethan Hunt agenda.
Mm,
And the Ethan Hunt agenda doesn't it sometimes it corresponds,
yeah.
but not always, because there's always this sense, which I think is a smart thing that happens in the movies, that the IMF is also willing to bend the rules
Hmm.
and then sometimes be like, the syndicate, maybe a
Yeah.
little bit branded differently, but they could do some of the same things. Whereas Ethan Hunt, and by extension, that little IMF unity has, are always thinking about saving the world, not necessarily creating US hegemony.
Yo, and that's the thing too that I really, really tried to hone in on when I'm watching these movies because I'm like, all right, Jim Phelps was his mentor. That's the John Voight
Hmm.
character, and shout out to him because he in the TV series he's the epitome of what Ethan represents in this. So it was like a passing of the baton. So I like that symmetry, but simultaneously, Ethan stands up for what's right, what's
Yeah.
good, what's just, and it's
Yeah.
not about serving his quote unquote masters
Yeah.
as Solomon Lane would always tell him, like, hey, you serve these masters. This is the last best chance that the globe has. Of like actually starting over and being
Yeah.
just and fair. And Ethan's like, no, there's another way, one that doesn't call for outright chaos.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thread of it, because there's this there he's definitely holds himself to a different moral standard.
Yes.
And I know like in previous conversations we've talked about how Ethan Hunt, and I always have a tendency to use like comic book movie
Yeah.
references
Yeah.
as it, but Ethan Hunt is like the Captain America
Oh
character.
yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's like he's his idea of freedom, justice, and equality
Hmm.
is is like distinguished from the idea of American values and government. And it's not like those two things are seen as the same, or as they can be, but they don't necessarily have to be. And when they don't, his is definitely on a different thing. And that creates like some of the tension that even he has with the IMF and with the CIA and all those things, which I think as an audience, it kind of helps you to relate to them better
Yeah.
because there's always without that, these movies would be like military propaganda.
And that's
And
funny.
maybe, and maybe they are still,
That's
but
what I
they
was gonna
would be
say. It's
obvious.
funny you
Yeah.
say that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
This might be the new version of "Be All You Can Be."
Right.
I
How
mean,
about that?
but at
Yeah.
the same time, I get it. To piggyback off of your comparison and your parallel to Captain America, there's I forget what edition it is, but essentially Captain America says, this is not just about the stars and the stripes and following some type of military code or whatever have you. I represent the dream of what America is, and that's equality, prosperity,
Yeah.
the chance of a new tradition and establishing a new place, a new home. And he says to the general, whatever have you, and if that means going against America, then so be it. That doesn't mean I'm less patriotic. If anything, it means I'm more patriotic because I'm trying to help those who are defenseless. And at the same token, that is Ethan's mantra, where
Yeah.
where they talk about, oh, he's constantly going rogue. He's only going rogue because you guys are out there on some selfish, like, we can control this, or we're going to
Yeah.
manipulate that, or
Yeah.
and
Give
it,
us the chimera virus or the
yeah,
rabbit's foot or whatever this the plutonium,
whatever the
whatever it
MacGuffin
is.
is,
What?
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
the crazy thing to me. Like, you, America supposedly is the good guys, supposedly, but at the
Supposedly.
same time,
Allegedly.
they're just as bad, if not worse, than the people they're sent to go kill and destroy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's also a really, I think, if you have 7 or 8 movies to work with characters, you can really tell that story arc.
Yeah.
So shout outs for them to do that because you're right. I mean, one of the achievements of these films, and this is a part of it too as well, is the telling of the character development of Ethan Hunt
Oh yeah.
from the character you see in the beginning to the character you see now, and all the things that kind of got him to where he is.
Yeah, and the thing that I really like most about it is he's not afraid to accept teamwork or help, and he's not
Yeah,
afraid to rely upon those that he holds near and dear. Sure, there'll be times where he's saying like, "I'm afraid to lose you," and this, that, and the third. But that, if anything, shows that he's more endearing in that way, where
yeah,
he actually cares about them, and they're just not pawns on the chessboard. They're not just a means to an end. That they actually have value and merit, and he sees himself in them.
yeah. And there's a great scene. It actually happens in Rogue Nation where Benji is saying to him like, "Yo, I'm a field agent.
Yeah,
You can't just put me on the sideline. I'm your
right.
friend. I'm going to help you." And Ethan's like, "All right, cool. Yeah, all right, then help me then, right?"
Yeah.
But I also think, and I know like I can't take credit for this idea, but one of the things that I found out in the research of these movies is like when they're making these movies, they kind of do the scenes and then they come back and figure out what the character motivations are going to be in the
Wow.
scenes.
Okay.
So because of that, the actors get a chance to really weigh in on what their character is going to say or do,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which then allows like the actors to have more say in what their characters are like, which also then makes the relationships appear more genuine when
Yeah.
you're watching them in film. So what Luther does or what Benji does or what Ilsa does and their relationship with Ethan makes sense because those actors and actresses are able to then say, well, in this scene, I should be doing this
Yeah.
because in that scene I was doing that.
Oh, the motivations behind why. Now it makes sense why these things are more
Why
cohesive.
it works. Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody's contributing a different perspective from the
Yeah.
lens of that individual character. Now,
Yeah.
yeah, that's dope. I like the motivations.
Yeah.
I like the synchronicity in that. That's dope. That's
Yeah,
dope.
and the director, last name is McQuarrie, did Rogue Nation, then did Fallout, and now is doing Dead Reckoning and the Final
Yeah.
Reckoning. So that's why these movies are like,
Very
they're
cohesive.
popping. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
really popping from a directorial standpoint. And they had been switching directors through these movies,
Brian De
one
Palma
after the
was
other, one
in
after the
there.
other. Yeah,
John
but
Woo. Yeah.
now they
Okay.
found something that works. So yeah, that was good
Wow.
stuff, man.
Yeah,
All
that's
right, man.
dope.
Let's jump into the cake and the hate and the questions. I'm gonna start with my cake. Just a couple of quick things. Yo, the bathroom fight scene. Woo, love it.
Yeah,
Love the
man.
bathroom fight scene. I love when like dudes are fighting somebody and it's like they realize like, yo, this dude's better than
Yeah,
me.
like I got more. I bit off more than I could chew.
Right. Like I did everything I could do. And like shout outs to Henry Cavill with the arm cock
Yo.
thing that just became famous.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. And they were
you see
like,
dude.
"Why did you do that?" And he's
Right.
like, "It was just impulse." And they're like,
Right.
"We're keeping it. Do
Exactly.
the thing again." He's like,
Yeah, I
"What
know. Now
thing?"
you see dudes on Instagram doing that before they
Yeah.
get knocked out. Right. It happens all the time. But no, that's a great scene. I like that. I like, and also I love the scene where they trick August Walker at the end by
Oh,
making him think that
yeah,
that's
that
he's talking to Solomon
Lane.
Lane,
Yeah,
but it's not Solomon Lane.
it's
Like
Benji.
that, yeah, that was just a
You guys
great
play
double.
Halloween.
Right. It was just a great triple cross, man. And then the last thing I'm gonna say I love about this movie, Solomon Lane, man. This version of Solomon Lane, yo, the Solomon Lane that has been tortured and like he the dude, yo, this one of my notes was like, this dude has got, I would watch a Solomon Lane movie. Like they could make Mission Impossible 8 Solomon Lane or whatever, I would watch it because this dude is so cool. Like the whole car scene when he's in the car with Ethan, right? If you look at his face, the whole film, if you're on YouTube, you can see my face. He's like, he has no look on, no expression on his face. They driving, jumping over stuff, almost running people
Yeah,
over. Ilsa
man.
shooting at. He don't care at all because this
No,
dude's been getting tortured for
yo,
months by different organizations. I
different
like this
countries.
version of him, man, with the Mountain Man joint.
Yo,
He got the Liver King beard and
yeah,
everything. Like I like that version. Like the first, like because the first in Rogue Nation, he's
yeah,
good, but he's like kind of like clean cut, weird Doogie Howser kind of vibe, right?
yeah.
Like almost like a James Bond villain. You know,
Okay,
like how James Bond
yeah,
villains is always like they got picked on in school.
yeah.
But then with this guy in this movie, he's like, nah, I done seen everything. These dudes, they done tortured me all kinds of ways. That's why at the end, when he wants to kill Benji,
Yeah.
he tries to hang him. Like if you think about that scene, there's no reason for him to try to do that. He could have shot him. He could have stabbed. He's like, no, I want to hang this dude because I'm mad at you because you got away from me in Rogue Nation. I just love the vibe of this guy in this movie. He's like, yo, the actor. I'm gonna look his name up.
Bean or
Yo,
Sean
he should have
Harris.
gotten an Academy Award for that because that was the coldest. And
Oh,
he's in there with Henry Cavill and
yeah.
Tom Cruise, but he steals the show for me,
It
man.
is
Every
Sean
time,
Harris. It is Sean
right?
Harris.
He's doing his thing, man. So that's my cake, man. This things I love about this.
Oh man, that is crazy. And shout out to Sean Harris, though, because I co-signed everything CJ said. Like
Man,
he
he's
was water
doing it in this
tortured. They
movie.
were pulling his fingernails out. Like
Everything, man. That's why he didn't have. Look, he was in the car like, man, look, it's sunlight. Look how look.
he says to Ethan, "Hey, nice to see you again, Ethan."
Nice to see you again. Right?
Is that Elsa? Interesting.
Right. He's been tortured. You know what I mean? Like
I think that's why he was able to last so long when the truck went to the
right. How about that?
Yo,
Yeah.
You've seen him building up the lung strength. He was like, and he holds,
man.
yo, and he was underwater for a minute, yo. Like,
Listen. Now, you know, like people watch these films and the stunts are amazing.
yes,
Every time the stunt involves somebody being under in water for a long time, that creates anxiety for me. Because like
I dig it.
I'm always like, I couldn't hold my breath that
That
long. So whenever that happens in these movies, like it happened in another one when Ethan was under the water and everything.
Yeah, when he first met Elsa.
Nah, man. I would and that scene because you see like the water coming sideways on Solomon Lane, and he like for a second his eyes was like a little bit nervous. Then he was like, it don't matter.
Yeah, he's like, yo, it doesn't matter. And
whatever. They got it.
He catching flashbacks of getting waterboarded, yo.
Right. That's why. Right. That's why at the end when after they got the plutonium there, he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna stay here. Don't worry."
Yo, there were 2 helicopters. No, 3.
Like,
there were 3 helicopters, and he said,
like, "Nah,
take them." He said, "Take
I'm
them."
good, man. I'm done with this world. Like y'all have treated me so poorly. I'm done with. I'm done with this. I'm done with this world, man. It wasn't even personal for him.
No.
You don't even get the sense that he knew that Ethan's ex-wife was there. You know, like if Ethan would have came in and said to him, "Yo, you tried to kill my wife," he'd have been like, "Your wife is here?" Like I didn't know that she was here. I mean, that's okay. I mean, like, I want everybody to die. She's a part of everybody, so be it. But it's not personal.
He's like, and she's on the premises. That just means that I don't have to have somebody go looking for her. Like,
if I cared enough to do it, because I want this whole thing to be over. So this is it. I'm trying to get to an extinction level event, and you worried
as
about
many people with me as possible.
Right. You just happen to be there. It's not personal.
Tripping, it's your wife.
Right. So anyway, that's my cake. That's my cake, and I'm sticking to it.
And I'm sticking to it. I'm with CJ. I love the action. I love the cast. Solomon Lane returning was magnifique. I like the story itself too, like the triple cross here and
Yeah,
there, the suspense, like at each and every turn, even though you know or you get the sense that like something bad's going to happen, you're still caught off guard when that bad event happens. And then I like the Julia cameo; it fits.
yeah. So did I. Julia, yes, Julia.
I
Yeah.
really
Mhm.
liked how everything was like well thought up. You could see that everything was very much in line or in sync with something that was plausible to
Yeah,
happen if they did X, Y, and Z. The end result, it wasn't something like, oh, they just pulling this out of nowhere. This is out of thin air. No, it really worked.
yeah,
What you
yeah.
got with the hate, man?
So here's the thing, man. So I had a list of things. You see the notes in
Yeah, yeah,
advance,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm actually not even going to worry about them because I'm going to go on two things.
Okay,
And one of them is a preference for me. One of them is something that I noticed, but I'm also going to kind of dismiss it as I notice it.
all right.
So one of the things for preference wise for me, I don't ever think that Ethan and Ilsa have the chemistry that people think they do. Like,
Wow.
I know a lot of people really ship them. Like, damn, I ship them. They should be together.
Yeah.
I just never really thought. I just don't see it, man.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't see it, man.
Wow.
I think they're interesting. I think they could be interesting to each. I actually think Ilsa wouldn't actually like Ethan
Why?
because because he's too good.
Wow.
That's
You're
what I
too
think.
good for me type joint.
That's what I think. I think that she actually would be. She'd probably really be interested in Walker. August Walker would be like
Whoa.
her type of dude. Not because he's bad. He is bad, but because he could be bad.
Yeah.
Whereas Ethan is like a real like he's a good like
He's
bleeding
gonna
heart
make her be a
dude.
better person, and she's not trying
Yeah,
to be a
she
better
don't.
person.
Nah, she don't. She like Catwoman.
Yeah.
She don't really want to stop stealing.
She don't
She
really.
just wants Batman to be okay with it, but
Yeah.
she don't want to stop stealing. She wants Batman to just let me steal a little bit more, like that. That kind of thing. So that's one thing. So that's one note, but I get it. And then the other thing is like, okay, so at the end, I get it when now I'm gonna say what I thought, and then I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say to dismiss it.
Okay.
I didn't like how Ethan's plan was to try to shoot or try to chase after Walker in a helicopter.
Really?
Because I'm thinking like, how are you gonna stop? He's got the charger with him. How is he gonna get him out of the charger? He's piloting the helicopter. Walker's in the other helicopter. He's either gonna have to shoot it down or bring it down like he does. Like he rams it and
Yeah.
brings it down. But there's at least a possibility that in doing that, the charger would have been destroyed and then everybody dies anyway.
Mhm.
So that was I get that. That was like me watching it, like me
Yeah.
being me watching it, right? But then I realized that it was really Tom Cruise flying a helicopter.
Yeah. Oh yeah, in real
And
life.
then I said, yeah, and then I said, damn, this dude didn't learn how to fly a helicopter.
Yes.
Too. Cool, do it. Cause I know like he's like
Do it.
right. Cause then you read the backstory, and you're like, okay, he broke his ankle. And he's
Yeah,
like,
running.
I broke my ankle, I'm learning how to fly a helicopter. And I'm like, damn, this dude is really committed to his job. Like if you like, like think about it, you at work. Imagine if you're at work and you're like, man, I broke my arm, but then I learned how to type with my mouth. Like you're like, wow, this dude,
He about
that
that life.
performance review is gonna be good.
Yeah.
Your performance review is gonna be excellent. So I'm saying is like, I don't really get it, but I understand that Tom Cruise is like, dog, I learned how to fly a helicopter. I'm gonna fly a
Yeah, we're
helicopter in
gonna
this
use
film.
this.
We're gonna use this somehow. And McQuarrie was like, all right, cool, let's do it. So that's what I'm saying. So I didn't love it, but I understand it. That's my two things.
You know
Not
what?
real hate, but more like,
Yeah,
stuff.
I get it. And it makes sense too. It makes sense. But my only pushback would be one, the Ilsa Tom Cruise love affair. I think that's as far as it can get under the auspices that like, yo, we're fighting to save the world. We're not
Yeah.
gonna have hours or days to do their thing. So, when they do reach Venice in Dead Reckoning and they go on their little like, hey, this is the first time I've ever been here, and they go on a little cruise.
Yeah, I
That's
saw
it.
that. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's as far as it could get. Like they can't be sneaking away and eloping and things like that. And then with respect to Walker, I think it's just about Ethan as a whole, like his commitment to exhaust all means right then and there to get the job done. And he's got to put forth the effort because like the adage goes, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So, he has that sense of urgency where it's like, yo, I'm gonna put my mind, body, and spirit on the line. And you're going to have to like pull me, literally, you're going to have to drag me off the field on my shield for me to not put forth any type of effort. But with that being said, I despise Walker being the traitor.
Oh, you did it's your hate now, yeah. Yeah,
I,
I know you wanted to be Superman all the time, man. You want him to be
I,
the last son of Krypton the whole movie. I got you.
you
I
know,
got you.
the way how like Arnold Schwarzenegger has it in his contract that he can't die.
Hmm.
Cavill should be like, yo, I'm always the good guy, or I can't die, or I gotta be like, like some type of anti-hero or whatever, a la the Punisher. Like,
Hmm.
I can't be an outright villain. I'm definitely not feeling the deaths of Walker and director Hunley. Like, that joint hurt my soul when
Oh
he
yeah,
caught
yeah,
that
yeah,
knife.
yeah, yeah.
I was
But
like,
that also gives the movie stakes, though. Like that. Like I
I
think they're
get it.
trying
Yes,
to. They're
anyone
always
could get
trying to
it.
make you feel like there's risk here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that not everybody walks away or going to come home
Hmm.
unscathed. Like, oh, I only
Yeah.
got shot in the arm and there was a
Yeah.
billion bullets, but only
Yeah.
my arm got clipped. Like, I
Yeah.
get it. But at the same token, and I also looked at it from the lens of the believability that, like, in order to sell the whole, like, Ethan, you got to come home. You've been wilding out. I've been
Hmm.
brought in to try and salvage whatever I can. He had to be there in order for it to,
Yeah.
like, really, have some meat to the stick to the bone. So I get it. And then, like I talked about before, I'm just not feeling Erica Sloan being the stereotypical angry black woman. Like, all right, I get it. You're serious about your job, etc. All you've had to sacrifice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've heard it before. Small violin playing, but at the same token, cut this man some slack. What do you mean? If he would have did his job, death comes with. Yeah, he doesn't need to be reminded of it. He's on the field. You on the sidelines. Don't be a
Yeah.
backseat driver.
So it's gonna be interesting because she is coming back in
Yeah,
the last one, so it'll be interesting to see how they tie it all together. And also the thing I will say with that casting is shout outs once again to the people that make these movies to
yo,
pull in all of these kinds of characters and actors and finding ways to get the folks that are really like hot at that moment
yeah, man,
for whatever the reason is and pull them in. There's something when you were talking about the Henry Cavill part. So you saw the movie, was it The Gray Man, right?
yeah,
With
yeah,
Chris Evans is in
yeah.
that. So it's like he had to grow the mustache too. So do you think that did you buy him as a bad guy in that movie?
Yo,
Just because so
I
much of it
told
was like
I
him
told
being
you
Captain America.
when these guys deviate, they really seem to not they relish the idea of like breaking the stereotype. Like they
Yeah.
really go head first into it, and it's
Yeah.
believable because
Yeah.
I think it's because you've seen them in a different light, and now all of a sudden you're seeing this, and it's like, huh? It catches you off guard, but it
Yeah.
also simultaneously reels you in because you're like, all right, well, what you bringing to the table that I haven't already seen,
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that they fail because it's like, see, stick to being the guy, stay in
Yeah.
your lane,
But
stay your place.
yeah, I'm sure for them it's like this also gives me more work, right?
Yeah,
And it allows me to branch out. So
yeah.
I get it. I get that. All right, man. Questions. What you got?
Oh man, first joint. Can one man change the course of global events? You got Ethan Hunt always running
Yeah.
around and globetrotting and saving the world, and it's primarily him dictating the flow. But how can one person, literally control all these catastrophes, and how realistic, in spite of the danger, is to be in that place and have so much power and control?
Yeah. I don't know if how real it is, but I know that like, they always say evil prevails when good men do nothing.
Mm,
Right. The character of Ethan Hunt is a good man.
yeah.
And the fact that he's always willing to do the things that he does and make the sacrifices that he does
Mhm.
is part of what makes you believe that these things that can happen and that the IMF can win in the end.
Yeah.
And the conversation he has with his wife at the end, ex-wife at the end, about her saying like, "Yo, I got to do all the things that I really wanted to do in my life,
Mm,
and you got to do all the things that you really wanted to do with your life." It's sort of like saying like his purpose is that. So I think for the narrative, the hero arc narrative is like, yeah, he's the hero's journey. Yeah, he can make the difference. But I also think as an audience, we want to believe that. And I think the inspiration is to all of us to say, yo, if you do the best you can to make the world a better place than it does. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's
look
not.
at you being so optimistic, man.
I don't know, dog. I'm also the guy 10 minutes ago said I watched the Solomon Lane movie. So let's keep it in
That's
perspective
because
here.
not one person is all one thing. You're a very multifaceted individual.
True, true.
I dig it.
Indeed.
my next and last question is this. You know, we're talking about heroes and the epitome of what it
Mhm.
means to be a hero. So what does it mean to define them? You know, you got Ethan constantly breaking all these rules,
Yeah.
going rogue, not adhering, defying orders, you know, not really respecting the chain of command, so to speak. You know, but yet he has this moral compass that guides
Yeah.
him as far as like what to do, and it always seems to be the right thing to do,
Yeah.
which makes me wonder, why don't these other people look at it like that? Because his track record is flawless. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, you know, what is it about him following orders and doing things the right way, that lends some type of gravitas to his character?
Well, you know, it's interesting, man. In the question, you said the thing that I was thinking, which is, you know, it's like, remember in The Wire when Omar was saying a man's got to have a code,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And Ethan does have a code. His code is he's going to sacrifice whatever he has to personally to try to save the world. He's not going to sacrifice the people that he cares about, and he's always going to put himself on the line first before them.
Hmm.
Like, ain't nobody else jumping off buildings but him, right? And
No
part of
one.
this Tom Cruise, part of that is also the character. So the thing with Ethan is Ethan's code is his code. The other not so much the IMF characters, but whether it's the IMF or the CIA or the Syndicate or the
Right, right.
Apostles, their code comes from their organization.
Mm.
So because his thing is a little bit different, I think that's why his moral trajectory is always consistent throughout all the films. And he's not like wavering. Like I never, like, even in this movie, I never really buy the idea that someone like Ethan is going to go rogue, because his own value system isn't going to allow him to do that.
Yeah.
But if his value system was strictly based on the values that are outlined by the agency that he's with, yeah, over time you would see that agency is kind of
Mm.
fugazi with that, so you could
Yeah.
be too. So I think that's how that works, man.
I dig it, man. That concludes my questions. What you got on deck, man?
Got it, man. All right, I got a couple for you. All right, first one, man. A little bit of a mixture of movies and sports, man. Two things that we love to talk about.
All
All right.
right.
So Tom Cruise, just, you know, as an actor, just this guy, he goes all out. You know, we see this in movies and everything. If Tom Cruise was a current or past NFL QB, who would you say he would be?
Yo, this one was really hard for me, man. I
It's a
mean,
like,
really hard. Because, you know, I, I don't think Tom Brady is the best quarterback of all time. Like,
okay.
I like, no, I don't care what you say. Argue amongst yourselves. You're not moving me from my cipher. Um, with that being said, you know, I was really debating, like, is he Tom Brady though, getting the most out of his talents, being
Goat. Yeah.
undervalued and underrated, coming from a questionable past and history. But then I was like, man, that's easy. I'm not giving that dude any more props than what he's already got. You know, forget him. And then it made me go back into the annals, and I was like, yo, he's Joe Montana. We done
Joe
seen Tom
Montana.
Brady's story before. I
The
seen
Joe
it better.
Montana actors.
Yeah, I seen it better,
Okay.
man. Like, yo, he's Joe Montana.
The
And the
Joe
reason why,
Montana actors.
when
Got
they
it.
actually
Okay.
played against real defenses, where dudes would like really try to knock you out. No, none of this. Yo, I got a tuck rule. Oh, I got hit in Kansas City, so now we
Yeah,
can't hit the
yeah,
quarterback anymore.
yeah. Your Oakland Raiders, your Raiders joint is coming out now. Man. As soon as you mentioned the tuck rule.
I'm just saying, man.
Sorry. So
He's
Joe
he's
Montana.
Joe Montana,
He's
man.
got the Joe Montana. All right, cool. All right. All right. So at the end of the movie, right? Does Julia's husband
No,
know at the end who Ethan Hunt actually is?
no, he don't know who he is, but he has, like, he needs the confirmation. He's like that dude. Like, I knew it was him. He needs that satisfaction. He has
Okay.
like an idea, like they meant something more than just colleagues. He
Okay.
just doesn't know. But he be rest assured, he's pressing her. Like, yo,
Okay.
that was your man, wasn't it? That way, he
But
was the guy.
but wouldn't there, because this is what I was thinking is, okay, he would have had to, there has to be like, her friends have to know what Ethan Hunt looks like, right? Like, did Ethan Hunt get rid of all the pictures? Like, there was like in the third one, there was an engagement party with a bunch of people there. Her family met him, her brother. All of those people have to know what he looks like. Somebody has to have a picture of him and him and Julia together, right? That the new husband saw.
But CJ, this is where you messed up, man. Remember, she has a past that she hasn't fully let him in on, because
Oh,
she
okay,
was
so
like,
so he's not good. So
because
okay,
she was like, yo, let's just leave. let's just go wherever the
All
work
right.
takes us. And he
So
was like,
she kept her name. You're saying she kept her
yeah.
name, but not the rest of her
Yeah, because
identity. Yeah. Okay. All right. I
she
got
kept
you.
saying to that
Okay.
dude, like, yo, I mean, he kept saying to Ethan, like, yo, it got me out of the house.
Yeah.
I had a heart attack. I wasn't doing this. She got me to live life.
Okay.
Mm,
Okay. All right. All right. I got two more for you.
shoot.
Random question I'm wondering about. Yo, how many impossible missions do you think Ethan and IMF do in a year?
Oh man. I know it ain't no 365 joint.
It can't be
All
because
right.
if that's the case, the world is hanging on by a string.
But I tell you this, I know that it's more than one a month. I think it might be like
Do you
some
think twice a
I
month
think
the
it's twice a
world is
month.
in that much jeopardy?
Oh, I know it is. The world is
He
teetering on
said, I know it.
I know it is, man. Just in where I live at, man. I see the madness. Hey, yo, people out there, it's like that, yo.
Yeah, you said the world is in jeopardy
Yo,
twice a month.
twice. Yo, the Cuban Missile Crisis happened for a reason.
Oh
COVID happened
wow.
for a reason.
Yeah,
Vietnam happened for a reason. World War
I
One.
feel so unsafe with that response.
You
I
should.
just I thought for sure you were gonna say,
Mm-mm.
man, that probably happens like 3 times a year at most. You said twice a month.
Fam, let me tell you something. These proxy wars. They
Oh
happen.
my gosh.
They
Look,
happen.
look, man, make sure you subscribe now because we might not be here
That's
next week
right,
based on
yo.
that
And
prediction.
that's not
Goodness
hyperbole
gracious.
either. Nicaragua, yo. Remember,
Goodness.
we went to school. It was the USSR. Do you not remember this?
I
What's
remember
it
that.
called
Yeah.
now? Russia.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny.
There was East Berlin and West Berlin.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man.
I got you. I got you. All right, man. Last question. Okay. So let's say, what if Rogue Nation, Ghost Protocol, and Fallout were the only Mission Impossible movies after the first one?
Yo,
Is this a better franchise?
no question. Because they're jumping
So
right
less is
into it.
more.
Yo, in this case, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Because you get to see at a gradual pace Ethan's development, but you get tons of action. You get
Yeah.
new cast of teamwork, team members all the time. I mean, like, yo, from Maggie Q to Paula Patton, like, there's
Yeah.
some way that they could have phased in Thandie Newton earlier or whatever
Yeah.
have you, like even later. But yo, just the leading ladies alone. And forget
Yeah.
Jeremy Renner. You
Yeah. How
got
about
Ving
that? Yeah.
Rhames.
Who wasn't in this one? Yeah.
Yes, I'm saying like, yo, they managed to bring in people. Emilio Estevez. I mean, yeah, Emilio Estevez was
Was
in
in
the
the first
first
one.
one.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
yo, they managed, yo, like you said, whatever it is, they bring in the hot person.
Yeah, they know how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, cool. All right, man. Cake. So I'll go first on my cake. Yeah, this is 4 boxes for me. I think
Oh, you
this
mean the
is
popcorn joint? Yeah.
yeah, popcorn. Sorry. Yeah, popcorn.
You
I
got
was thinking
sweets on your
cake.
mind,
I
yo.
was thinking about cake. Yeah, no. Yeah, no, popcorn wise. Yeah, definitely 4 for me. Really, really good Mission Impossible film. My favorite of all the
Mm,
ones that I watched
yeah.
was this one. Really good, man. Really good film.
Yo, 4.5 for the king. Um, Everything that CJ mentioned, plus so much more. Like, we'd be here forever just commenting on how dope this flick is. 4.5.
Good stuff. Good stuff, man. All right. So hot takes. So my hot take is that the Mission Impossible films are, interestingly to your point, are cautionary tales of the jeopardy that the
Mm,
world is in and the threats that exist to it. Like, we talked about the chimera virus and the rabbit's foot, the plutonium nuclear holocaust. Now, obviously, the last ones are dealing with artificial
intelligence.
intelligence. These movies are like subtle Hollywood warnings of the risk that society is
Yeah,
always
man.
in. And they're doing it entertainment wise, but there's also a message like, hey, y'all better watch out.
Yo.
Because in real life ain't no Ethan Hunts.
Or if they are, they do a heck of a job of not letting us know that they exist.
Right. Right. So yeah, so that's my hot take, man. What you got?
Man, I just feel like studio executives are basically childish. They are spoiled brats. This whole mandate on Cavill having to maintain the porn star mustache while filming
You
Superman,
caught the porn
like I'm
star
just not with that, man. Like give that man like the fake joint or give it time for him to grow it back. No, we got to do it. I think that some executive, some bean counter was like, "Yo, look, how can we, dictate terms here with Warner Brothers because Paramount and them are rivals?" And they were like, "Yo, these are our terms, accept it or don't." we got you contractually bound to this.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if you try to get out of it, you'll just never work in Hollywood again. And they will
Yeah.
blackball them.
You know, there's somewhere I'm gonna look that one up because I was thinking about that because I was watching something about the making of this movie and then I saw
Yeah.
the part about the reshoots and I
Yeah.
remember that part with Superman's face that
Yeah.
that looked
Yo.
terrible. I remember seeing that with my daughter. She was like, "What's wrong with
Man's
Superman's
face.
face?"
Yeah.
Like I remember that.
I think it was like a
Yeah,
little jab, like, yo, we
yeah,
dictate terms, even
yeah.
with
They messed that.
Superman.
Yeah, they messed that
We're
joint
the
up.
kryptonite.
Yeah, right. We're the kryptonite. All right, man. Well, yeah. So look, that's the breakdown on Mission Impossible Fallout, man. Really a really good movie to see. And I would say that you should watch the ones before it.
Oh yeah.
If you see like Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation,
Build
and
up.
this,
Yeah.
yeah, you'll be really set. And this is all building towards Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, which will be in theaters. So the next time that we're doing this, we'll be doing something that's right in theaters, and there'll be heavy spoilers for it.
Sir.
Once again, the Sticky Floors podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. We are on Apple Podcasts. We are on Spotify Podcasts. We are on YouTube, where we need you to subscribe and share. We'll see you next week. Peace.